Motivation used to be very easy. In the good old days, the only thing really you needed to motivate your workforce was a whip. People were not working hard enough, you just hit them and things went better. Very sadly, by all accounts, it's just out. You can't really hit anybody these days. It's just not going to work because most jobs, people really need to feel engaged. They need to kind of quite like what they're doing. Otherwise, they're not going to do it properly. And this explains the birth of the HR department, really, and the art or pseudoscience of management. The whole system that tries to keep large numbers of white-collar workers not killing one another while they're eating lunch beside one another in these cubicles. And that is the reason for, as it were, this HR department. Now, this accountancy firm has a vast HR department. The whole of the 9th floor of one of their towers is occupied by the HR department. And I was ready to be a bit sarcastic about them too, but I was actually kind of won over by the whole business because I think it's the first time in history that we've got these huge organizations of very ambitious, very intelligent people who, as I say, are not killing one another, who are more or less resolving their conflicts and working more or less effectively beside one another. And some of the reason is some of the discoveries that go on under this rubric of HR. When I was there in the firm, they were just launching a 24-hour anti-bullying hotline. And basically, if anybody's giving you a dirty look or feeling of humiliation, you can pick up the phone day or night, talk to a psychologist, and the issue is going to be dealt with in really very admirable manner. There's even, if somebody in your team has bad breath, there's something you can do about it. You can report it anonymously. It sounds ridiculous, but these accountants get charged out at something like $600 an hour, and they work in teams. So if one member of your team is proving unappealing to a customer base, this could really hurt, your own revenue, your team's revenue, etc. So it's kind of important, but strange. And so you can call up this hotline. You can report whoever it is, and anonymously it will be dealt with, because in the next couple of weeks, that person will be called in to do a course, ostensibly on something completely different, like letter writing or public speaking. But in the course of that training session, they'll be left in absolutely no doubt as to the importance of good oral hygiene. So very, very kind of subtle kind of process. And it used to be the case that that home life was associated with kindness, sensitivity, generosity, and working life was all about exploitation and cruelty and meanness. But I think that sometimes in the most advanced organizations, it's almost like that equation has been reversed. And again, I don't want to be too autobiographical, but sometimes I would come back from the accountants, and I'd be sitting with my wife. It'd be Friday night, and the crockery and the insults were about to fly. And I remember thinking, goodness, if only the HR department were here to, where's the 24-hour anti-bullying hotline? And somebody can come along and get us to hold hands and sing songs and all the imaginative things that often HR departments suggest. The other thing that, I work on my own as a writer most of the time, so I don't work in a large office. But one of the things I often do is waste a lot of time. And I feel tremendously guilty about this. But I'm always looking out of the window and changing proverbial light bulbs, etc. And I always think that people in offices must be a hive of activity and good sense and focus. And one of the wonderful things about spending time in this accountancy firm is that I realized that there's an unbelievable amount of waste of time that goes on in offices. And this came such a relief. People spend unbelievable amounts of time. I think most corporations are like buckets that are full of water, and they're riddled with holes, and water's just pouring out. And it's amazing if by the end of the tax year there's anything left in the bucket at all. Meetings, and anyway, you know how this happens. So that was interesting to study. But at the same time, I observed that there's a real culture. It is a real culture of workaholism. So it's this kind of odd, one level a waste of time, and another level a complete machismo about how much work you should be doing. And in this accountancy firm, every night there's a pizza and Coke trolley that basically goes down the aisles on every floor, and it's almost a given that you will, particularly in the junior ranks, spend a couple of evenings a week, a weekend or two a month, doing a pizza evening, doing a pizza session, working right the way through to finish a particular job. And there's a kind of pride in that. And I remember one day I was looking at a team of people that I'd been following, and this was a Saturday at about 4 o'clock, and they'd been working since the previous Friday, since 9 a.m., enormous stretch of time working. And I remember suddenly thinking about the Sabbath. And I remember thinking, okay, well, what's the Sabbath about? I mean, on the one hand, the Sabbath is, God creates the world, takes a step back, wants us to admire his creation, and we should, put down our tools while doing that. A mad idea from a secular point of view. But I think you can read the story of the Sabbath, and you can read what the point of the Sabbath might be from a secular point of view and gain something quite interesting from it. Because I think what the Sabbath is really about is megalomania. It's about workaholism and megalomania. Because what it's really saying is, you did not create the world. So occasionally put down your tools and acknowledge that though you control some of the levers of the world, you don't control them all.